In the following video, we will demonstrate how to use a Genian NAC agent installed on an endpoint to collect information about the endpoint, such as hardware, peripherals, software, antivirus, network processes and active ports, and other information. To get started, we'll verify the IP of our test machine, 192.168.1.252. Then in our policy server dashboard, you will click on Management and Node. This will bring up the active node list for this system. As you can see, 192.168.1.252 is not present, but we will double check by doing a search. So that is not an active node in this policy server. The first thing we will do is create a node group. The node group will include the IP of the test machine, and that will be utilized by a node policy which will enable agent collection plugins to provide the information that we're looking to obtain from the endpoint. So, in order to create the node group, we'll click on Policy, then Group, Create for Node Policy. We will give it a description. It's enabled by default. We will add a single condition, which is the IP address. Save. So now we have a node group that we've created, and it just includes the IP of our test machine. The next thing we're going to do is to create a node policy. Using the wizard. It will be enabled by default. Here we will select the node group we just created. Since we don't care about authentication, we just want to passively collect information, we'll change this to host authentication, which means the end user on the test machine will actually not be prompted to authenticate. Everything else can be left as default. And now we're going to select the information, the plugins or the agent actions that we want to perform. So what we're going to do here is take a look at this list. We're going to, for Windows, collect OS information. We're going to collect hardware information, monitor information, network information, printer information, software information, antivirus, and Windows updates. We'll click Next. And we're not going to assign any anomalies or do any other configurations, so we'll click Finish. So there's our node policy that we created. It's enabled the node group with the single test PC IP is there, and then all the information we collected for the agent actions. So we're going to click Apply. In order to install the agent on the endpoint here, we're just going to manually install it through the captive portal. You could, of course, force users to this captive portal screen or a customized captive portal screen to install the agent, but we'll do it manually for testing purposes. You could also push the agent out using an MSI installer, Active Directory group policy, or some other software distribution mechanism. So I'll just click on Windows. Run the executable. After the install file is downloaded, the agent will be installed. Installation complete. So what we're going to do is go back and take a look now at our node list, management node. See here now that the machine that we have, which is 1.252, now shows up in the list, shows up with having a Windows agent running. And of course the operating system has been identified. So also inside of the log, if we filter this down, 192, 168, 252, we'll see that there's a lot of activity that has occurred here. Various information's been detected. So all of the checks that we actually had configured have been executed, information about hardware, and all sorts of other information about this node have actually been logged here. So if we go back and look at the node again, and then we click on the IP address of the node, we can look at some more detailed information. So if we, of course, we have IP address, MAC address. If we click on System, we're going to see some of the information that the agent has gathered. So we have information about the motherboard, memory configuration, utilization, disk space configuration, utilization, operating system, build version, network connection information, including VMware adapters, utilization for the network, IPv4, IPv6 information, USB information, user account information, printer information, etc. If we click on network, we can see all of the active ports on the endpoint and each process that is utilizing each port, along with other details about the ports. If we click on software, we're going to see all the software installed on the endpoint, including the version, installation date, location of the software, etc. Also, we have antivirus information here, Bitdefender Plus, Windows Defender, versions, update information if available. And there's 4 pages of software that's installed. So everything that's installed, we have information about that. OS update information takes several minutes to collect, so it won't show up in this screenshot for the video. If we actually look at the policy status here, we'll see that all of these agent actions that we configured have been executed. The Windows updates are still being verified. It's a fairly lengthy list that would be populated. But if you come back a little bit later, all that information will be displayed for the Windows updates. So that's how simple it is to actually install a Genian NAC agent, configure a policy to collect all the information, and report that information back into your dashboard. For additional information on agent options, just head over to docs.genians.com. Under the Administrator's Guide, Controlling Endpoints with Agent. There's information in here about agent defaults, etc. Configuring agent settings by node policy, which was demonstrated in a previous video. And then controlling windows. All of the different options for collecting or controlling are all listed here. So all the applicable instructions for utilizing each one of these features is listed under each section.